Hello on this Monday morning, uh, and welcome. For those of you who are here on Friday, apologies for our technological challenges here at IMC, and things had been changed in the recording equipment and not put back together properly, so that it took a while to figure out what the issue was, and so we didn't really do last Friday, and it works out well because I'll finish the series today, and then I have a 4-part series for the rest of the week. So that works out. So the topic last week was the Four Noble Truths. And the Buddha has this very strong orientation to look at conditionality, to look at how one thing conditions another, one thing sets up the conditions for something else to arise. And so suffering is not all bad in the Buddha's teachings, because suffering is the necessary condition to really understand suffering, to see it, to stop for it, to care for it. Sets up the conditions for having an inspiration, a confidence, a faith in a path to the ending of suffering. And that is a beautiful thing to have. To have an inspiration, an enthusiasm, a confidence, a trust. The classic word is saddha, which is often translated into English as faith. So whichever one of those words works for you. And so as we start the meditation today, to call upon your whatever confidence, whatever trust, whatever enthusiasm and inspiration, faith you have, in this practice as a way of addressing the challenges of this life, so that you can give yourself more wholeheartedly to the simplicity of mindfulness, the simplicity of being aware, here, now. And it's a powerful thing to be mindful, to be aware, to understand and know and feel what's happening. Because that kind of offering of presence, offering of attention, takes away some of the energy of preoccupation, of anxiety, of desires, of attachments, of being lost in thought, and takes this life energy of who we are and begins putting it in a good direction, the good direction of simple awareness. So to assume a meditation posture, think of it as a posture of attention. In whatever way that works for you, whatever posture works for you, assume that posture with some care, that it feels like your whole body is going to be attentive. Gently closing the eyes. And taking a few gently long breaths, just comfortable enough to feel the rib cage and the torso expand. And as you exhale, maybe a longer exhale than usual, so that you can relax, let go, settle in here. And letting your breathing return to normal. And continuing to relax. And as you relax the body, feel like you're relaxing into some inner depth, some place deep inside that where you feel stability, steadiness, settledness. Relaxing face, shoulders, belly, chest, as it works for you. And then letting your breathing breathe itself, and letting yourself be quieter and stiller, no longer making any effort to relax. Stiller, quieter attentiveness here to the body breathing. Maybe an attentiveness, a sensing from within the body itself. And in the quiet of sitting here, can you find or remind yourself, touch into whatever you have that's a gentle yes to being mindful, to being present with attention, to be aware here. And that yes might be confidence in awareness, a trusting in mindfulness, an inspiration or enthusiasm for simple attention, It might be the faith in this path of practice. Whatever it might be, I'm summarizing it with the word yes. Is there some place in your body that's the home, that's a source deep inside for that yes, for that inspiration, confidence? And if there is, rest there. Breathe with that place, breathe through it. Let your yes arise from the place of faith or confidence to support simple awareness of what is here, now. Maybe with the simplicity of breathing in the midst of all other things that's going on. whatever is challenging for you, difficult for you, thoughts, feelings, if they should arise as you meditate, remind yourself of your ability to say yes to being aware. Yes to putting your life energy into being aware rather than preoccupied. Letting your mindfulness flow out of a quiet, gentle yes to being aware here. And then as we come to the end of this sitting, to appreciate that it's quite rare for people to stop, to be really attentive and aware of their experience. And even more rare, that they know something about how to hold their suffering, their stress, their tensions, their challenges, in awareness, non-reactive awareness, an awareness that clarifies, awareness that allows some deeper healing and understanding, an awareness that interrupts the train wreck of just thinking over and over again in ways that perpetuate suffering. And this ability to be present for challenges is a growing capacity we learn from this practice. And it becomes a gift that we can give to others, that we can be present without perpetuating the reactivity that others have, that just groups of people have. That we can be a calm, clear presence to see clearly, that maybe helps to others to be calm, or helps others to see clearly, to helps others to be seen well, so we don't see them through our reactivity. May it be that in our yes to awareness, there can well up within us the wish for others' happiness. May all beings be happy. May all beings be safe. May all beings be peaceful. And may all beings be free. And may we find a way today to contribute this into our world. No matter how small the gesture, the attention, the care that we give, may we support the welfare and happiness of those we meet. Thank you. So hello, and today I'm going to conclude the 5-part series that I started last week on the Four Noble Truths to the end of suffering. And and so the fourth noble truth is the noble truth of the practice, the way, the method that leads to the end of suffering, that goes to the end of suffering. And the way, the practices that lead to it are defined as or described as the Eightfold Path. And these are amazing practices that are not exactly only practices. They are states of beings, qualities of character almost, that can build up inside of us, so that at some point they are not practices, but rather who we are. So they're so integrated into the fabric of our being, the fabric of our character, our personality, that they are no longer practices. But at first, they are practices. But I make this point because the idea is that this is not importing a practice from outside. It might feel like that way at first, but it's really learning to awaken something inside that can flow through us, that can be kind of our own, that of course we're this way. And so the Eightfold Path begins with, of course, I'll be present for suffering. Of course, I'll attend to it, because to not do that will make it worse. Now, if attending to suffering does make it worse, then maybe that's not the right call for now. Something else is needed then, some other preparation work. But some point in this Four Noble Truth process, there's a yes to being present for suffering, being present for it so that we can start seeing the cause in attachment and craving. Present for it so we can notice first the moments and then the longer periods where the suffering is no longer there. Appreciate that it's not constant, but then in some kind of way, if we're more attentive, more careful we are here in the present moment, the more we can see that it does wax and wane. And when it decreases, that's something important to see. And if it decreases enough, sometimes by accident, sometimes because we're distracted, it shows us we're not necessarily stuck in our what we call suffering. And so a willingness to say yes to attention. Yes, this is called right view, right to attention to suffering. And then as we become more sensitive to ourselves, there comes this right attitude or right resolve, which is to avoid being cruel, avoid being unkind, avoid being attached and caught up in all kinds of addictive sensual behaviors and actions. There's a sense that there's something here deep within that does not want to harm ourselves or harm others through acts of cruelty. And so care and compassion become prominent. Doesn't want to be unkind, but rather wants to be friendly. Doesn't want to be caught up in addictive behavior, wants to be free of them. There's, as we practice there, then it follows then that we want to be careful with our speech. Our speech should be kind. Speech should at least avoid lying. Our speech should not be harsh. Speech should not be slander. Not because it's a should that we have to take on, because it grows out of this practice of sensitivity to suffering and to stress and to the ouches of what are, of course we don't want to create more stress for ourselves. Of course we don't want to create something that's going to harm ourselves. And the heightened sensitivity we have, we can feel that harsh language, lying language, slanderous language is harms something within ourselves. It diminishes something, it closes something, it limits us. And the same thing with right action, which is to avoid killing and stealing and sexual misconduct. That these things also limit us, harm us, cause difficulties. And so if we want to continue this heightened sensitivity of mindfulness, heightened sensitivity to suffering and the end of suffering, we want to live in a way that doesn't go against the grain of that. We want to live in a way that doesn't decrease our sensitivity, but actually increases our sensitivity to be more attentive, more careful. Same thing with the way we live our life, livelihood and lifestyles, to be careful with those, that those don't cause harm. And then there's the right effort, which is to be very careful now of inner states of mind, inner states of being, that we can sense and feel the difference between unwholesome ways of being and wholesome, healthy ways of being, states of mind, and unhealthy. So we can have the sensitivity keep growing, because unhealthy states of mind decreases our sensitivity to the path, to the freedom, to the end of suffering. Wholesome ones increases it. Develop concentration. Develop mindfulness. Right mindfulness and right concentration. These all support this movement to greater presence, greater sensitivity to this experience here. And so the fourth noble truth is doing those practices that cultivate the conditions for a greater attentiveness, sensitivity, so that wisdom can arise within, so a deeper understanding can arise, so we become sensitive to and inspired by a yes to suffering, being present for it and seeing it, seeing the cause of it, and seeing the cessation of it, letting go more deeply, letting go of all the things that are involved with some kind of self-harm, all the ways in which we contribute to our suffering, our anguish, our distress, our anxiety, the whole gamut that's under the umbrella term dukkha, suffering, the emotional pain that we contribute to. And so, knowing that there are these 8 practices, and that they're practices that are pointing us back to ourselves, not taking us away, so we have to be very careful how we practice them, that they're not holding on to them to like a life ring, keeping us afloat, and just, or as a something to do that takes us away from ourselves. The 8 practices of the Eightfold Path are practices that really help us be here in awareness, in attention, the heightened sensitivity to this life of ours. And they create the conditions, these 8 practices that create the conditions for greater and greater capacity to understand, to have clarity, to be present, and develop a kind of strength behind the mindfulness, a strength behind our presence, a strength behind our dedication to a path to end suffering. And it's not just for ourselves we do this path, but we also can do it for others. As we do this path and develop along the Buddhist practice, at some point it doesn't make a lot of sense to keep doing it if we only do it for ourselves. At some point, the inspiration that comes to keep doing this practice, even for yourself, is for the benefit of others. So you can be a conduit to benefits. You can be an inspiration. You can be someone who doesn't cause harm, someone who lives for the welfare and happiness of others. So the Eightfold Path don't cause awakening, but they lead to liberation. They are a gradual path that leads to a heightened care, sensitivity, a heightened wholesomeness, a heightened letting go, that supports us to eventually see and experience the end of suffering in a very dramatic and full way. And at that point, the Eightfold Path takes on a very different flavor, a very different nature, because at some point it's really clear that the Eightfold Path is not practices anymore, but are ways of living that emerge almost naturally, almost part of who we are, that we live this way rather than we have to do them. And that's an amazing tipping point that brings a tremendous amount of happiness. So that will be the topic for the next 4 days of this week. I'll start a new series, a 4-part series, called For Happiness. And this is the what I'm calling, kind of a little bit my own categories, but the 4 truths of happiness, or the 4 noble truths of happiness, because it directly ties into the fruition of the 4 noble truths. And now there's the 4 noble happinesses. So that'll be the topic, and I will look forward to starting that tomorrow. And I thank you very much for being here today, and may it be that you take some of this yes, this faith, this inspiration or enthusiasm or confidence you have in mindfulness, and see if you can bring it into your life so that it just you naturally find yourself more sensitive, more aligned with the Eightfold Path, the 8 factors, or whatever part of it you can remember. So thank you very much, and I look forward to tomorrow.